Marvel's Spider-Man revolutionized the concept of web swinging and became something of an instant classic when it was released in 2018. The game does everything so smoothly that players can easily lose hours just exploring its incredible world. The game also features a great story, tons of nods to the character's lore, and phenomenal gameplay. More than a long time on from its initial release, Marvel's Spider-Man remains a thoroughly entertaining experience, and that seems unlikely to change anytime soon. Even with a weak puzzle gaming section, this is hands down the best Spider-Man game of all time, and one that fans of superhero games would be foolish not to check out at some point.
Friends, there's a fine line between being a conspiracy theorist and seeing a clear path. It's hard to ascribe motive.
Although the game is still fairly recent when compared to some of the other great Spider-Man games, Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5 and PS4 is an incredible video game. Miles Morales' first big solo outing is full of wonderful moments and provides an overall experience that's not to be missed. Insomniac Games has trimmed the fat off the original and added new mechanics that make Miles feel different enough from Peter without entirely changing what people loved about its predecessor. Where it falls short is with its extremely short campaign, but the game is so enjoyable that it hardly even matters. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions is a 2010 multi-platform release that allows gamers to control one of 4 different versions of Spider-Man. The game includes Ultimate Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man Noir, and Spider-Man 2099, which in turn provides plenty of gameplay variation. Shattered Dimensions is incredibly fun to play, mainly due to the different gameplay styles. For example, Noir is all about stealth, while 2099 has high-tech gadgets. Enjoyment really was around every corner, though the most memorable aspect may have been the multitude of awesome boss battles.
Who's having a good time? Raise your hand! Spider-Man. And some for you.
Looks like the freak wants... Circus in town?
While Spider-Man 2 gets all the glory in terms of Spider-Man movie-based games, its predecessor isn't too far behind. Based on the first Sam Raimi movie, Spider-Man 2002 is the next evolution from the critically acclaimed PS1 Spider-Man titles from Neversoft. With much improved combat, crisper graphics, and an expanded moveset, it plays like a joy. One of the game's highlights is the epic Green Goblin boss fight, which remains one of the best to have featured in a Spider-Man game. Fighting him in the sky on his glider and on the ground is challenging but rewarding, exactly how it should be. Speaking of the Green Goblin, a cheat code in the game allows players to play through an alternate story, with Harry Osborn in the suit, which provides some nice variation and helps keep things feeling fresh.
Friend, we should be working together, you and I.
Save it, Ugly. There's no way I'm working with a psychopath like you.
Ultimate Spider-Man is loosely based on the comic book series of the same name and has become a favorite of many fans. It had the benefit of being written by the hugely talented Brian Michael Bendis, who also penned the series. In it, players control both Spider-Man and Venom, providing a vastly different experience each time. With both characters, players can free roam throughout the city, do their own thing, or take on missions to advance the story. Venom needs to feed to replenish his health though, which means eating people. Yes, it's a game where the protagonist eats people. The story was good enough that Bendis adapted it back into the original series. Those who know their Spider-Man lore will probably remember the iconic comic book storyline that Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage is based on. The game came out in 1994, which was right around the time that the popular animated Spider-Man TV series was a hit. Players control both Spidey and Venom as they attempt to stop Carnage and his henchmen. Maximum Carnage was one of the better side-scrolling action games of its era and was able to garner respectable reviews from both gamers and critics alike. For a lot of folks, this 2000 release for the PlayStation, and later for the N64, was the holy grail of Spider-Man games. It set the standard for how to do a 3D Spider-Man game properly. While obviously dated today, Spider-Man made web swinging into something special and featured some great combat aspects. Gamers were treated to an impressive story that moved at a wild pace and featured tons of characters and cameos. Who could forget the final fight against a terrifying combination of Carnage and Doc Ock? It was one of the first superhero games to get movement, combat, writing, and voice acting almost all right and raised the bar for superhero games everywhere.
Brains, yummy.
Released in 2004, Spider-Man 2 was based on the blockbuster film of the same name. One of the more interesting things about the game is that it incorporated elements of both Spider-Man and Peter Parker's lives. This means that players have to juggle everything from fighting crime to maintaining relationships. It certainly helped that the game was home to one of the best web-swinging engines of all time. When combined with a huge map of Manhattan, players were given a ton of space to do almost anything they wished. Like the film it was based on, the game was met with widespread acclaim and remains a firm favorite of many fans.
Mind if I lend a hand?
Get a load of these fists, man. Crawler.
Spider-Man Web of Shadows arrived in 2008 and was an instant hit for the PlayStation 3, Nintendo Wii, Xbox 360 and various other platforms. This was a game that delivered in terms of being a ton of fun and having an emotional plot. In fact, many still consider it to be their favorite Spider-Man game. The game's dramatic story involves Venom infecting New York City with symbiotes. But even more than a fantastic Spidey vs. Venom tale, this game stands out for the awesome guest appearances, which include cameos from Moon Knight, Luke Cage, and Wolverine. The oft-forgotten follow-up to Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, Spider-Man Edge of Time wasn't quite as solid as the original, nor did it offer as much variation in terms of gameplay. It more than made up for this, however, with its fantastic storyline, which was written by acclaimed Spider-Man comics writer Peter David. Unlike its predecessor, Edge of Time concentrates only on Peter Parker's original Spider-Man and his 2099 counterpart, Miguel O'Hara. The pair must coordinate their actions across time and space to save the future from destruction. While the gameplay is repetitive and features some frustrating boss fights, it's still able to offer a good time when all's said and done.
I'll give you a treat. This whole lizard hunt ends now!
Spidey is back to swing around Manhattan in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, set to release in 2023 on PlayStation 5. This sequel continues the story of Peter Parker and Miles Morales, as the two friendly neighborhood Spider-Men have to stop supervillains from wreaking havoc in New York City. Among the bad guys threatening NYC is Venom, the alien symbiote that had his own movie back in 2018. Venom won't be the only villain starring in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, as Insomniac Games confirmed Peter and Miles will need to face several enemies.
Cool if I borrow this?
This is really, really exciting.
Keep it tight, man. Watch out for those drones.
Don't worry. They think I'm a friendly.